Hi there, welcome to Wyckoff Technical Analysis session for Chainlink. So Chainlink has been going through the second test stage of the Wyckoff distribution pattern. So uh, last week we already talked about these tags over there, asking the question whether the buying climax has already happened or has it not. Is it just the intermediate fluctuations of the preliminary supply period as shown in the yellow scenario? So let's take a look and see what has changed over after a week, and then is there any new patterns that been identified? So looking at this one, if you don't recall this white line, this dashed line, I've basically extended it all the way back towards the upthrust of the distribution in April 2021. It basically is a downward trend line for the peaks. So that upthrust of the distribution white right there, all the way to the buying climax back in December last year, and then the buying climax that we might have already seen in mid-August, while we're still having a question mark asking whether that was really the buying climax. A key point that this line brings out is that if you're a long-term investor or even a speculator for Chainlink, this line is not a healthy sign for you, because it basically tells us that it's having a declining investment or speculation value. Let's put it this way. So, if it goes on like that, the future distribution cycle peaks would just be lower and lower and lower. So that's going to shrink your profit potential, right? So the return of your investment will get lower and lower while you're suffering the risk as well. So that's the significance of this line. And then back to the pattern itself, if this is the second test, hopefully it doesn't behave the same way as what happened back in January this year. Because after the second test, the price of Chainlink dropped pretty quickly. So in 7 weeks time, it reached a platform period around the preliminary support stage, and another 4 weeks later it enters the selling climax. That's early April this year. So it's not too far from now. It was only like 5 months, a little bit more than 5 months ago. So a lot of news like expectation of interest rates changes, all that has already been factored in. So that's why probably we had this buying climax that happened back in mid-August. That's my guess. It may be true, or it may be not. If it really finishes, like all the good news has been digested, it's just a matter of time that it exhibits the same kind of behavior back in like the first quarter of this year. Finger crossed that's not the case, especially for the bull team people, if you're one of them. Like if you're expecting an upthrust to appear somewhere above the global key level of $29.20, obviously you want this to go up and break this downward trend line. And I wish the same for you. For the bearish team, this, if it really comes down like that, that would be a party time for you. And what we hope to see is the selling climax end up somewhere along this blue dashed line. So this line is extended from the spring during the accumulation cycle back in June 2023, and then the selling climax back in August 24, plus the selling climax and second test back in mid-April and mid-June this year. Early April, I would say, and mid-June this year. So this line once again forms this supporting for the valleys or the low points of these accumulation cycles. Interesting thing is, if we extend these two lines, it's coming to a huge wedge coming together to form a huge wedge for Chainlink. So when that happens, that may be assuming that the price is going to trade within these two lines, right? When that happens, that's probably going to signal a drastic price change for Chainlink. So just a wild exploration for now. If I extend this line, I don't want to do this. I'm not trying to do the red. I'm trying to do this guy. Yeah, that's what I want to move. Okay. So let's put it like this. So somewhere around May next year, it's a bit too early, not even next year, it's May 2027. If it really trades towards that, which I don't think it's a high chance, my guess is it's going to, if it's coming down, it's really coming down for accumulation, it's going to break this blue dashed line. But for now, just for discussion's sake, if it really happens all the way into end of first quarter or early second quarter of 2027, that would be a big change in terms of price for Chainlink, because that wedge, when it further consolidates, this is a weekly time frame, and either it's going to Mars or it's going to, I don't know, the Earth core. So again, very early, 1.5 years from now, it may not even realize, like I said, it may break below this line if it comes down for an accumulation. So just an exploration. So that's weekly. Bollinger Band, Keltner squeeze, obviously after these climb, there won't be any squeeze until further consolidation happens. Likewise for the daily, there shouldn't be any squeeze happening. Okay, this one checked. Next is if there's any trend we can observe. So the squeeze, oh sorry, I was at the weekly chart, and actually daily chart, there's a squeeze happening. So these vertical bars at the back basically says the purple, both purple lines are within the orange lines. And for me, even though these are intermittent, I still consider this whole range a squeeze. So basically from September 12th, last Friday, all the way till now, the entire week, 8 days now, is going through a squeeze period, meaning a bigger price swing is near. However, compared to the weekly squeeze, this price swing, I'll say it's relatively mild compared to when that happens in weekly. So what would happen would be, let's say if it's going to swing, if I switch off this, the price is currently within the downward channel. So assuming it's going to squeeze towards one side, and if it's really coming down, it's going to first challenge the light blue key level of $22. And don't be surprised if it comes all the way down to the bottom edge of the downward channel, which is somewhere around mid $20 as of this moment, if it's going to come down in the next 2-3 days. Last week I probably have already covered this triangle over here. The breakout, we're expecting it to happen anytime before end of this month, and it might have already started yesterday. So that's why I always say the breakout doesn't wait till the very tip to happen, and that's probably what it's demonstrating to us now. And for Wyckoff, these two seems to be both LPSY as of this moment. While if it really comes down to test this support level and maybe even break through it to test the second support level, that's totally normal. And like I said previously, not in this session, but like previous session, if this is an upthrust of the distribution, it's fully understandable that the price is going to continue to retrace back to a point where investors, traders, speculators are comfortable to start accumulating. So that's the picture the daily chart is telling us. Again, if some very good news came out and changed the course of the weekly chart that comes up for an upthrust to challenge these key levels, the 26.1, 29.2, obviously the daily will follow, right? It has to break outside of this downward channel. Like in candlestick pattern analysis, people may call this bull flag, meaning expecting the price to go up. But don't get over excited, because it never tells you how high the price would go. So it can break out and challenge this blue line, doesn't get over the upthrust of the distribution set back in late August, and then eventually dies down to the new accumulation cycle. So it can happen in such a way while you would have made some profit expecting it to go up, but then quickly it may go to the other side. So always remember to set your stop loss. So back to the big picture and see whether we have anything missing. I guess not. The volume itself is pretty low, so that's why I'm saying people may be seeking direction, and hopefully it's not something like this, because after the buying climax back in December last year, it did went through a low period of 3 weeks. So pretty similar. We are in the third week already of low, and basically the volume back then it was lower than 50% of what during the time when it gets close to buying climax. This time it's kind of similar. The current volumes over the past 3 weeks is less than half of what we had during the buying climax somewhere in mid-August. Is it going to repeat exactly the same and drop drastically in the next few weeks? Very soon we'll find out. If I have to put a percentage, I would say upthrust, maybe 30% chance. While coming down for a sign of weakness, this is going to be tricky because the sign of strength is so high up. If this is really the automatic reaction, the light blue key level, that's probably where the sign of weakness would be, and that looks like, or seems to me, it's more of a 70% chance. So, thanks for joining me.